So just stopped off over at a rest stop off the side of I-485, I think I'm on right now. I don't know, I kind of lost track of the different I's as I'm going through and crossing different interstates now. Still in North Carolina. Just decided to go through and stop off at the rest stop, not only because I needed to go and use the restroom again, but also to take a little bit of a rest stop shower there. I was feeling a little bit gritty and nasty from just a couple of days, and the wipes just weren't doing it on their own there, especially for my hair. You know, I can't really use the wipes that I have. Which, speaking of the wipes I'm using, are ones that are designed for like hiking and things like that. They're almost like giant wet wipes, but they're probably 2-3 times the size of a normal wet wipe. Fully biodegradable, it says, in 20 days, and just comes in a big package of them. So they're designed for hiking, and I decided to bring a package of those along with me, and those have actually worked out quite nicely. It really feels just like I got out of a shower when I go through and use one, except for wipes don't really do anything good for your hair. So decided to stop over at the rest stop there and do a little bit of a cleanup there, and windows down and everything, because the weather is so nice out right now. I'm already dried off from that. Currently 72 degrees, it says, so it's warmed up quite a bit. I actually thought that I was going to just wait until around midday and then find a quiet spot somewhere and just take a shower and try out my portable shower for the first time, but decided to just cheat and hit the rest area there, since there was just one that was convenient right off to the side of the road for me. So yeah, decided to do that. Still trekking north through North Carolina. Haven't really seen anything interesting or worthwhile to stop at so far today. I'm thinking the next state park, national forest, something like that I see a sign for is probably where I'll stop next. So we'll see what happens. Oh, so one thing I forgot to mention that I'm very different about the drive now compared to even just yesterday. Elevation. There's actual tons of elevation changes happening here. I'm definitely in mountain country, and so all the road is up and down the whole way everywhere. Also seeing tons of trees with the leaves changing colors and all that, known as deciduous trees for all of you kids out there trying to learn something from this. So that pretty interesting. All things that I don't get in Florida. So the drive itself is actually quite nice. Just seeing nature and stuff out up north here, where I don't usually get up to see any of this, especially this time of season. So pretty neat. So yeah, we'll see what our next stop is going to end up being here. So I've just entered Virginia, and for the first time ever in my life, I am driving through mountains. It's kind of blown away that it was starting to get some elevation and stuff about an hour or so ago that was pretty noticeable, and a few things in Georgia, but nothing like this. As soon as I started looking over the horizon, I just saw how foggy it was and just thought it was clouds in the distance, and it turns out that it's actually just fog around the mountains. I couldn't see the mountain tops, but now I am deep in the actual mountains right here, and it's pretty awesome. A little bit uncomfortable for me to drive through this right now, because I've literally never driven a car through a mountain range before, or through an area like this before in my life. I've ridden in cars going through areas like this, but never was the driver. So this is a new experience for me, and I'm excited and slightly anxious all at the same time. So welcome to Virginia, and I'm really kind of hoping I really do see an interesting stop off soon, because I would love to find a good. Oh my god, I can see it. Holy crap. So first off, my ears are popping right now, but I'm looking over to the right side here, and it is a steep drop off to this area of houses and a whole valley and things, probably down about 500 feet at least. So, okay, yeah, excitement up and anxiety up a little bit more. So, this is fun though. This is really interesting. There's got to be a lookout point or something here soon where I'll really be able to get a good vantage point and get some good pictures. So that's what I'm going to be looking out for now. All right, so for the first...
1 mile.
Ignore Google. So for the first time on this trip, I've officially gotten myself lost. Was looking for just kind of a cool spot to be able to hang out over in the mountains over here, especially checking out these trails and things in this area. So I took some back roads and then we tried to have Google just navigate me to a different area. But Google tried to take me onto a road that does not actually exist. So right now I'm actually in some gravel roads, just kind of driving around looking for kind of where I'm going, either to go back to the highway or still looking for maybe I'll find a good spot to just hang out and chill for a little bit. But as it stands right now, I can technically say that I am lost because I have no idea where I am or which road to take, and Google can't help me. So we'll see how this goes. Alright, so I just found my way back to I-77 again. I was really hoping that as I was going through the area there close to Wytheville, Virginia, there was a sign that said Blue Ridge Plateau Visitor Center. And so I was thinking that just by the name that would be like a good vantage point to go check out. So that's what I actually was trying to go through and look for there. But as I was driving by the Plateau Visitor Center, it looks like it's just a small shopping center. And I guess it's just the name. It's so obviously a little bit deceptive on that. So I was just trying to take some back roads to see if I could find a decent spot with a good vantage point to just hang out and chill for a bit, take some pictures. Still like a good spot to fly the drone too, but everywhere that I saw there was all private property, and it was all very clearly indicated private property. I don't think there's probably another area in the United States with more no trespassing signs by capita than the area I just went through. So I got a very distinct impression that these were just not good areas for me to stop at. So I'm back on I-77 again, just going to continue north and still see if there'd be a good spot for me to stop off at. A little disappointed, just not really find anything in particular today. It's a good thing that I'm continuing to do the drive because I still have another few hours to go before I actually get to DC, and I'd like to be kind of in range of DC at least tonight. But I think my goal for tomorrow is going to be basically to spend the whole day tomorrow in DC, and then kind of start heading back toward Florida starting early Tuesday, and take a different route and see what stops and things to see on the way there. But I do want a full day in DC because I think it's a really good place to be able to just walk around and see a lot. So what I'm hoping to be able to do is to find a spot tonight that will kind of put me in the general range of getting to a metro for DC. And that way I can just take the metro into DC tomorrow. I got my backpack with me and everything. And I'll just kind of load it up with a little bit of supplies and walk DC, see the monuments and sights to see and things like that. And I think that'll easily fill my entire day tomorrow. So after all of that, I'm thinking that probably the spot that I crashed tonight, hopefully, will also be the same spot or the same general area that I end up sleeping tomorrow night after DC as well. Or I might feel, inclined to start driving back or to find a different spot. I don't know. So, we'll just kind of see what's going on. But it is currently about to be 1 p.m. on Sunday. And I'm just continuing to do the drive and seeing if anything interesting pops up on the way here. Because I did just stop for another bathroom break and picked up some snacks and stuff when I was over in whatever that place was I was just at. So I wouldn't mind being able to stop for a minute to grab a quick snack and just chill. I've been driving for quite a while today, so it'd be nice to have a little bit of a chill for a little while, but I want to make it a stop that's worthwhile to stop at. So I could have easily just done this at a rest stop or something like that, but I want there to be something worth stopping for. So I am not stopping until there's a reason to stop. So that's where it stands right now. So I just spent the last hour and a half or so hanging out over at a rest stop here in Virginia, close to exit 132. Was getting a little bit tired from driving so much today, so I just decided I needed a little bit of a break from it. So just pulled up over there, used the restroom, put down the windows because it is a nice, cool 66 degrees out with a really strong wind. Unfortunately, the wind part is making it so that it's not really good for me to fly the drone right now. I actually would have liked to fly the drone over that spot and just in this area in general because of the mountains and terrain here. I think it'd be pretty interesting to see. Yeah, it's a little bit too windy, and in just an unknown area like this, if the drone just went off too much in one direction, very unlikely I'd be able to recover it. So I decided to play it safe and not go for the drone here, at least for now. I might have some better luck at the destination I have decided on. So I have an app that is, it kind of links just to a website called freecampsites.net, and there is a recommended primitive campsite about 2 hours north on I-88 now that I'm on, maybe. Yeah, the only problem with me using my phone for taking these videos is I can't actually see the navigation to know exactly what road I'm on. I know I'm on the right road, I just can't ever remember what road I'm on because I've gone through so many different interstates on this. I think I've crossed 7 or 8 different interstates on this drive so far. So it's a little hard to keep track of exactly where I've been and all that, but that's what these videos are for, and of course my Google location history will help out quite a bit too. Anyway though, so I've decided to head over to this site here because it is literally right off of the interstate, and there's also a Walmart that is probably about 20 minutes away from it, so that if it turns out that this site is no good, then I do have just a Walmart that I can set up camp at. Not going to try to do a whole lot more driving tonight, today. It's only 3:30 in the afternoon actually, so I can't say tonight yet. But I'd really like to find a nice cool spot to be able to just kind of hang out and chill. And that what they described on this is that it's actually primitive campsites that are right along a creek. And if this actually pans out, I don't have a tent or anything to set up. All I have to do is just park my car over at the site and enjoy just a nice calming atmosphere, just hang out and enjoy myself with nature for the night. The nice thing about this spot is it is about 2 hours away from DC, maybe not even that, depending on the traffic, and that's the biggest factor. Is we're starting to get now into one area that I did a little bit of research on, but not necessarily say that I researched thoroughly or have a plan for, and that is navigating DC, because from what I've heard, driving in DC is simply not really a feasible option. Now, I think I'm going to test that, because really, so long as I can get to a spot where I can leave my car, even if it's for paid parking, I don't have an issue with paid parking. In fact, I would probably prefer paid parking just for the sense of security. I really just need a place where I can leave my car, and then I will navigate around on foot or through Uber, Lyft if I feel it's needed, or hopefully there's e-scooters. I got a really short ride on an e-scooter in Atlanta, and I just didn't feel too comfortable actually using it there because the streets were just so crowded with people walking and things. I felt like I was having to dodge people, and it just wasn't an ideal situation to use the e-scooters there. But that would be a good option in DC. So we'll see if maybe that ends up being something I can do there. I'm a little hesitant right now. I'm just driving by a state police officer there. Was not really speeding, but since I don't have my navigation up and I never seem to see any of the stupid speed limit signs, I don't know if I'm actually doing the proper speed or not. I'm just judging it based on the traffic around me. So hopefully the people around me are going a reasonable speed, and I'm relying on Google Maps to tell me really what the speed limit is, because the speed limit is also changed even more frequently than the interstates have, especially going through South Carolina and North Carolina. South Carolina was ridiculous. It was 55 was the speed limit for a good portion of the interstate there. And I've just gone up to 70 is what we have in Florida, and what I've been with most of the drive here, but there's some places where it was 60 and 65. And these are just open roads with barely any traffic. I don't know why they have such a low speed limit, but that's different states, different laws on that. So anyway, I am going through and doing the 2 hour drive right now to get over to this primitive campsite that I'm really crossing my fingers pans out and really is what it says, especially how it says it just walk-ups and everything are fine, because that's obviously what I am. And hopefully get a good spot there and just set up camp for the rest of the day today, and they'll get started early tomorrow heading to DC. What I would ideally like to try to do is find a spot where I can park my car where I know I'll be able to keep it, hopefully for the whole overnight and everything, and then navigate around from there. But I do have an alternate plan of going to some area outside of the city and then relying on the metro. Not sure about that, because about the whole leaving my car in that kind of an area thing. I would assume that it's safe, but the biggest thing about doing this also is I got to be concerned about how much stuff I have in my car, and how it's kind of painting a big bullseye on my car as, hey, come break into this one. So I try to go through and put up the blankets in such a way that it looks like it's just a bunch of clothing, or who knows, just junk in the car. I don't have a backpack out that's in sight. I don't have my tablets out in sight, or anything like that. So I'm trying to mitigate some of that as much as possible, but leaving my car unattended for an extended period of time, like navigating around DC, is a little bit unnerving, because I'm really depending on my car and the supplies I have in my car for this trip. Sure, I can go through and buy new things if I really needed to, but my goal is to try to make this as much of a low budget trip as possible, because if it's not a low budget trip, kind of defeats the purpose of doing this. If something gets stolen from my car because I'm out going through and just boondocking and having to leave my car somewhere with a bunch of stuff in it, let's say worst case scenario, my drone gets stolen from my car, that would really suck and completely offset any costs I'm saving at just staying at hotels instead of the whole boondocking thing, where I could bring my things to the inside of a room to make sure that they're protected. So there's a few different factors on this. This is going into just some more of the unknowns, but once I actually arrive at DC and my feet hit the ground for the first time there, is where the rest of the trip is really kind of smooth sailing, I think, because this is going to be the most challenging part, the biggest unknowns. I'm not too familiar with DC. I've watched a few videos just to kind of give me a bit of a head start, but the point of this is to go in completely really ignorant of things. I might have been to DC as a kid, but that doesn't really lend too much in the way of knowledge to me navigating DC as an adult on my own, where I'm actually in control of the plan. So we'll see how it all goes here. I'm hopeful that it's all going to work out. I don't think I'm going to encounter too many major issues. Worst case scenario is that my traveling in and out of DC ends up being a bit of a challenge, but I'll work it out one way or another. So on to the primitive campsite here. Really, really hoping that this works out, because this sounds like a really awesome spot for the night, but we'll see. So still driving in Virginia, about 50 miles out, I think right now, from the spot I'm trying to go to see if I can set up camp for the night, and just encountered the first bad weather of this trip. Not terribly bad, but really rainy, muggy, and a lot of fog around too. So especially with the mountains and all that driving through here, it's definitely been a very interesting drive. Probably the most challenging drive that I've actually ever done. I mean, it's not a big deal, nothing I can't handle or anything, of course, but just a really unique situation to me is driving through the mountains and stuff. I can't describe how someone like me coming from Florida driving and just flat their whole life. I just have never experienced this at all, so this is a whole new thing. Weather, especially with all this traffic, is being a little bit of a challenge right now, but I'm going to get through it. Hoping that I'm kind of hoping two things now. One, that this spot I'm trying to go to turns out to be legitimate, and two, that the weather actually subsides and we get some clear skies. Because I'd like to really be able to kind of hang out and enjoy the fresh air and set up my chair and stuff outside of the car instead of having to be cooped up in the vehicle tonight. But we'll see if I get the opportunity to do that or not. For now, I'm having to pay attention to the road a little bit more than even I've had to so far on this trip, because not only is it bad weather, but a lot of terrible drivers. I don't know why people think that they need to be 10 feet from each other's bumpers going 70 miles an hour, but that's people. So, yeah, back to the road. So following the advice of the free campsites app there, I have found the spot that they were talking about here and the creek that they were talking about. They said it was a small creek, and they weren't kidding. It is a very, very small creek. But it is a little bit of moving water here, and just a kind of a little bit of an outdoors spot. I'm actually parked back over this way still, so I'm just kind of exploring around the area a little bit here. I have absolutely no service here, and I guess that should be pretty much expected because I went through one hell of a winding trail to be able to actually get here to this spot. But it was an interesting drive, that's for sure. I'm at a pretty good elevation right now, so I actually got to see a good amount of the kind of the landscape and everything from a much higher elevation than what I've actually seen so far on the drive. So it was kind of a neat little detour just to come out here and check out some of the woodland areas. But I think I'm going to look at a different spot to camp at for tonight here. One of the main reasons being there's a lot of bugs in this spot. I'm getting swarmed by mosquitoes, and even though I have the netting and stuff I can put up, that's kind of defeats the purpose of wanting to be able to hang out outside and be comfortable. So I'm going to keep on going, look a little bit further, and see what else I can see in the area.